Okay, and you want to actually use namespaces because once we can at our export level we can delete namespaces and get back to where we are to what we're using. So we just want to make sure that we select our rig file, make sure we're using namespaces, and so it'll be usually colon and then whatever is. So we'll use selected namespace as parent and add new namespace for the file name. Okay, so we'll just reference that in, and if you hit F, we get this file, and if we hit 6, brings our textured file. Okay, so we have everything in here referenced in. We do want to make sure that we are working at 30 frames a second, so I'll just change that to 30. And then also in the animation preferences, which is this guy right here, this little running man looking with the gear, and we go through here and just check this, and I want this to be 30 FPS times 1. Okay, and then just save this, and so our playback should be, we don't want play every frame, we want to be at 30 frames a second, and so that's 30 FPS, and so from here we can actually just save this file. Okay, and so we'll just do a save scene as, and we will just call this mascot, and or whatever you've named it, right? So if it's Harry, Larry, David, whatever. So mascot under, and then I'll underscore, and then I'll say anim, and then underscore blank. Okay, so now we have a blank animation file that we are going to start from. So we'll save that, and so now we have this blank animation file, and all we have to do is open up this animation blank file and start animating from here on out. Okay, so from here, what I'm thinking about is that contrapposto pose that I'm really kind of looking for. Okay, so the first thing, and a lot of it can be trial and error. In posing an animation, you can get really, you try and do these things fast, and sometimes it just doesn't work and you just have to restart, do a different pose. So for here, I'm actually going to just try and recreate how I did that pose. So I'm just kind of putting some of this contrapposto in and just moving to the left, screen right. Okay, and then I'll grab a little bit, put a little bit of rotation, and then I'll grab the spine 0 and chest, and then rotate a little bit in X. Okay, so I'm getting that contrapposto in this, and from here I also want to open up my feet, okay, and then push this foot out to give me a little bit more balance. And so I'm selecting this other foot, and I'll probably push this one back a little bit so he's kind of standing on that foot a little bit more, and rotate out just a touch and just translate. So I'm just hitting the hotkeys, and you can actually go over here and just use these as well. So this is move. Whoops, we don't want to be in, we want to be in object mode. So F8, Q, F8, and so this is move, rotate, and scale. I don't think we want to do scale all that often, so just basically move and rotate. Okay, so move being the W key, and rotate is the E key. Okay, and so if you just leave those fingers on W and E, you can just move and then E to rotate. Okay, so that's all I'm doing here. I will grab this clavicle and bring this arm down and select this one and bring that arm down to his side, And then this one, I probably want to bring this arm back just a little bit and grab this, bring this back and rotate. And then with this hand, I do probably just want to put a little bit of bend in the elbow. And this hand, just want to kind of pose that hand so it's kind of laid back like that. And then this one, just put a little bit more rotation in there. Just rotate. A little bit of rotation in this elbow, a little forward. Then this arm will probably move just a little bit forward. And with that, I'll leave that elbow so it's just a little bit more straight on. Okay, and then I will put a little bit more rotation here. Just move that forward. Just kind of look and see how that's looking. And for this, I want to rotate on Y with the neck. Just put his head back up in, and then you can actually just kind of just select the head. Let's give it a pose. Okay. And then also what I'm going to do is put a little bit of rotation into that spine. So the first one I bent back, and then the other one I'm going to bend forward. Okay. So just like so, have that little bend. So with the head, just kind of look. All right. So that's looking pretty decent, good start. So getting that contrapposto into the, and then I also want to think about a little bit of rotation into the root, so he's kind of facing out, his belly's facing out that way. But then when I do that, I want to put the counter rotation into that top spine node, or the chest and the spine. So the spine and the chest. We can turn off our rig objects by going to our rig controls and just turn those off, and we can see kind of what's going on. And so I'll turn those back on. Just I got what I was looking for. So here, I'm just kind of rotating this hand, and I'm using FK right now. You can use IK. I find that FK arms, you get better arcs with FK arms, and so I'm just kind of thinking about that. And then also, one other thing that I want to point out in posing is when I'm posing, you want to think about when your hands are kind of at rest, you do have a bend to your fingers. Okay, so I also want to think about that. So when I'm posing these hands, I want to basically bring them, actually I'm just going to select the first two and just put a bend in Z, and then right like so. Okay, and then so what I'll usually do for a base pose, I'll grab the middle finger and the pinky. For a 3-finger or a 4-finger, I'll just grab basically all 3 fingers, and then I'll just basically rotate them kind of up like so. So those fingers are coming up and in like that. Okay, and then the main finger, the main pointer finger, we'll put just a little bend, not too much. So we just kind of get a nice relaxed hand. Okay, and I'll kind of move that hand out a little bit so you can just kind of rotate around and see how that's looking. And then here we want to do the same to the right hand. So just bring that out, just kind of shape that thumb so it's kind of bent in, and then select all the fingers for the middle and the pinky and rotate those up. Just kind of relax those fingers a little bit. So sometimes, whoops, I do like to just add, just kind of look and see like what you're after. The pinky you can bring up, you know, say on one more than the other, just to kind of add some a variance to the posing. So I'm just selecting those objects and hitting E. And so just bring that finger like so. And so this hand, I can probably, it looks kind of laid back. That hand's kind of sitting on the body like so. Bring that a little closer. So he's just kind of laid back in his pose. Looks like he's weighted properly. So if we do select the root, and you can see, like if we move him, if we're a little too far forward, it looks like he's going to fall, or this way. So if we have him kind of centered, and so you can also think about where he's standing. You know, if you put him a little forward, or actually lean him back just a little bit. If you do lean him back a little bit, just make sure you push that head and also the neck a little forward. So with that neck, we'll push that forward a little bit and then rotate the head up. So he's kind of looking down, or like he's just got a lazy or forward look to him. And so here we have this a good start to an idle pose, and we can start animating this. So I'm actually just going to push this leg out just a little bit, just kind of looking at what we got going on here. So pretty happy with a good, decent starting idle pose. And then we'll turn off the rig and just kind of do an overall rotation around, just to kind of look and see how that pose is looking. So it just looks like he's just kind of chilling. And so with that, we'll go to here and say File, Save Scene As, and from the animation blank, we'll actually change the blank and change this to idle. Okay, so this is going to be our first animation, and so we'll save that, and so we have that pose all kind of posed up. And one thing that we want to do is set our first keyframe on all the objects that we know will be animating in this actual scene pose file, or actually this first animation file that we have. So what we want to do is actually go and, so one of the things that I do like to use is